everybody. Welcome to Planet New Jersey. We're thrilled to have you here. Of course, I am with my two Mouseketeers, Vinnie Civitillo and Randy Stephens at my side as always. Special guest star John Powell is here with us today, and we're thrilled to talk to him about some Jersey Devil and Jersey history. I want to, of course, shout out to our fabulous sponsors, NJM, for great insurance, no mascots, just awesome insurance. Check them out. And let's rock and roll. So. Thank you, everybody. Happy post-spooky season. Halloween was yesterday. And so we have, for a little while, really wanted to have a podcast about the Jersey Devil, our very own devil, which is kind of exciting. I mean, I think there are demons in every state or some kind of folklore, but I don't know about that. I know we're in New Jersey. So John, thank you so much. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is John Powell, and I'm a reference and instruction librarian at the Paul Robeson Library at Rutgers, Camden. Um, I think my very first exposure to the Jersey Devil actually happened when I was a kid. My grandmother lived in far South Jersey, and then depending upon my parents' mood, if they wanted to pay the tolls on the Garden State Parkway or the Atlantic City Expressway, we would sometimes take the back roads, which would inevitably lead us through the Pine Barrens at some point. So in classic 70s parenting style, we were a station wagon full of kids in the back to sort of keep us quiet. My dad would sometimes mention, we're driving near the Jersey Devil's house. You kids
Oh.
might want to keep it down. So
I
that
didn't
was
know that
sort
the Jersey Devil owned property.
of, he's everywhere throughout the Pine Barrens. So, and I mean, I've met people later in life who have very similar stories with parents who sort of use that as the tool to sort of calm them and, for car trips. And then flash forward to working at the library. Every Halloween, it's my favorite time of year because it's spooky season. So I get to go through our vast collection of books. At Robeson Library, we've got a really great collection of books about horror films, vampires, witches, ghosts, ghouls, werewolves, you name it. But two books that always stand out to me when it comes to spooky season are about the Jersey Devil. One is simply called The Jersey Devil, and then it has a sequel known as Phantom of the Pines, More Tales of the Jersey Devil. Both of these books, they were written by James McCloy and his partner, Ray Miller. So without fail, if you are in the area near Paul Robeson Library, you can stop by and grab those books, during Halloween, or, visit your local public library, see if they can interlibrary more copies for you. Everything I know about the Jersey Devil has come from these two books, as well as some other sources. But that is sort of how I got into Jersey Devil. And then from there, I think it was about 2019, I built a full-blown library exhibit to the history of the Jersey Devil.
Wow.
And then every year now, in October, I run a workshop called Running with the Jersey Devil that is free and open to the public. So next year, if you want to come out and hear more about the Jersey Devil,
I'm in.
join me.
Absolutely.
I definitely am because I put this book. My mom had sent me this book, um, and it's written by George Detting. I don't know if you know it, but I just kind of started to pop it open. My mom always has kind of interesting knowledge. Like I didn't know she knew anything about the Jersey Devil, and then she just started going on and on and on.
Yeah.
So as a librarian, as you're just naturally prone to wanting to research things and to just kind of dig a little further. Did it create a buzz? Do people come? Are they excited about learning about the Jersey Devil since you started this kind of exhibit?
Buzz is a strong word, but there's definitely been people who have expressed interest. I've heard from people throughout the campus, like, oh, wait, you're doing something about the Jersey Devil? And then they either proceed to share their story about, being in a car with a parent who told them to be quiet, the Jersey Devil is nearby, or, having like an uncle who says he had seen the Jersey Devil, stuff like that sort of comes up. And yeah, he is the official state demon of New Jersey. So there's a lot to like about it.
How
I'm so
old were
curious.
you when your parents started scaring you with stories of this demon?
Yeah, he's like the bedtime stories, like Krampus.
Yeah, I'm trying to imagine telling my daughter that there's this demon that lives in our state. There would be questions every day until I finally just gave in. It was like, I made it all up. I don't know.
You
Well,
probably want
I
to
think,
see him. You want to meet the Jersey Devil and see so much the
you know,
gentleman.
I would disagree. Times have changed when it comes to parenting and telling children such things. But back in the
Very well
1970s,
said.
things were a little bit different with what you get away with telling kids.
Absolutely.
I'm curious to know too. Like, so I'm a Jersey boy my whole life. Lived in PA for a few years, but I was older, and I'm curious to know, like, if the like the history is or the folklore is regional, right? Because being I guess a Central Jersey kid growing up in Mercer County, I didn't know much about it. But Casey, you're from the shore, which is different than where the Pine Barren areas kind of are from where you are. Is it regional, do you think, John, or is it kind of like statewide? If you know, or what do you think
I
about
mean,
that?
I think it definitely started out as regional,
Okay.
because it's based within the Pine Barrens itself. But then as time went on, from the origin story, in 1735, the Jersey Devil sort of started to spread and sort of became more of, I would say, a statewide phenomenon. Um, there's a famous just rash of Jersey Devil sightings that happened in 1911 or 1909, rather. I apologize, where he sort of made his way out of the Pine Barrens, and then he made it as far north as New Brunswick in sightings, and then he went as far west as Reading, Pennsylvania.
Oh wow.
So he put himself out there.
So he's also known as the Leeds Devil.
He's known as the Leeds Devil because the name of the family that's sort of associated with the origin story, the Leeds family. The town is called Leeds Point, where they're at, and Jersey Devil, Leeds Devil. He's also known as Phantom of the Pines. So take your pick, whichever one you like. It's all our same bag.
Is there a generally accepted description of this thing? Because what I always think is, here's what happened. This is what was the date again? 1919, is that what you said?
When he was spotted everywhere, that was in 1909, but he's actually
1909.
1735 is when he comes to life.
Sure. So 1735 to 1909. This is pre-cell phone. This is pre-internet. My theory on this is
Just a
that
couple
two
years
guys
then.
were out in the Pine Barrens. They saw a possum, and they had no idea what a possum was. And when you look at a possum that's scared, those things look like demons. And I guarantee you, like, the two of them went back and were like, listen, we saw this thing. It was the scariest thing imaginable. And the other guy was there to corroborate the story. Like, absolutely, I saw it too. We're not lying. And then it goes from there.
Well,
Yeah.
Case, think about, because we were golfing a couple months ago in the Freehold area, and no lie, then I thought, I'm like, hey, be careful going to your car. There's a mountain lion or something over there. Like, there's a coyote at least underneath that tree. So we're all kind of freaked out a little bit. And then a few moments later, Casey, in all her boldness, goes and see, and it's somebody's cat just roaming in the
The house cat.
Wow.
Oh.
It's a house cat.
And Randy was like, "Wait, don't go over there. There's a wild animal." And it was a little orange house cat.
Garfield.
John, I promise you, it's because of the shadows and the trees. It kind, so.
It tricks on
So what do we think the Jersey Devil looks like? What is the folklore around that?
I mean, the traditional description of the Jersey Devil is that he has wings coming out of his back. He sort of has a face of similar to a kangaroo, glowing red, sort of powerful demonic eyes, huge claws that sort of come out of his hands. He's pretty sizable. He's reported to be 12 feet tall.
Well,
And-
okay. All right, so we're definitely out of possum range at
Yeah.
this point.
And then he, of course, has like the cloven feet and then, the spiky tail of a demon. So,
Okay.
but there are cases where there was a case outside of Philadelphia where somebody thought they caught the Jersey Devil, and then it turned out it was a silver fox. So I can see where you're coming from, seeing a possum, and then especially like in the Pine Barrens at night where it's like dark and like the shadows and
It's already
you know.
spooky. It's
Yeah,
spooky.
I mean, 12 feet is a little hard to misinterpret, but like if it was
Bigfoot,
like a
man.
bat, like some
It could
kind of
be
really
like the
scary
shadow.
bat.
It could
Yeah.
be the shadow, like Samwise in Lord of the Rings when his shadow comes up and they think
Yeah.
he's a huge gardener, but he's just a little Sam.
yeah, and maybe like some drinks were involved. I could see.
Absolutely.
So yeah, definitely.
Some grog.
Yeah.
Any history? Anybody know about history? I mean, we have a professional sports team named after this folklore. So, like, even though I thought it might have been regional, it's probably a little bit more widely known or widely spread about. And any history like to when or how that started, or did someone say, "Hey, I heard this. Let's name this professional team after it"?
I'm trying to remember because I think it was voted on by fans.
Okay.
I forget the exact year when they became the Jersey Devils. And in my defense, I'm not from New Jersey, so
Oh.
fans of the podcast, please don't come for me. Um,
Hmm.
but I'm pretty sure that was the names. There was like a selection process, and then
Gotcha.
the fans were like, "We like Jersey Devils."
Yeah,
According to
we kind of love the Jersey Devil. We're terrified of him, but we do love him. He's our demon, and I feel like
Absolutely.
we're protective of him.
I was gonna say I brought up Wikipedia and they say that they've been the Jersey Devils since 1982.
Oh,
Thank you.
A little
Thank
later.
you.
What do you think that was there a rash of like domestic animal killings, like a coyote or somebody like something that came in and killed chickens, or do you think that helped lead to some of this folklore?
a great
I would say
question.
that definitely helped sort of solidify his reputation. Because after the origin story happens in the 1730s, he runs off into the Pine Barrens, and then he was blamed, for if the crops went bad, must have been the Jersey Devil. Somebody stole my horse, Jersey Devil, you know. Um, and people would always say that they saw like the footprints, like his cloven footprints in either the sandy soil that's famous in the Pine Barrens, or in the snow. He would always leave tracks. But he was blamed for a lot of things, and he was sort of on like a 7-year cycle where things would finally quiet down. But then a rash of cattle dying would happen again, and then oh, he's back, that Jersey Devil, or yeah.
The Jersey
So
Devil come out and like clear his name. He'd be like, listen, this is not my brand. Don't do this kind of thing.
I'll admit to some of it.
yeah,
Like, how are the chickens? But
Yeah.
So
well,
I'd imagine because of that area though, right? That it's probably like a lot of the farmers, or what do we have? The blueberry farmers and all kind of down in that region down there. Like I'm pretty
yep.
sure we got some old farmers that I'm guarantee there's probably some tales and some stories of like passed down generationally of what they've heard or what they've seen. That'd be pretty interesting too. John, you got to bring them into the exhibit for the next.
And that's the thing. I mean, with the Jersey Devils like origin story, there's like 14 different versions of it, and
Wow.
because it's folklore, things change generation to generation. So something that your grandmother might have told you, by the time you get around to telling it to your grandkids, you're going to put your own spin and flair on it. So that's where you start seeing, over time, the tale of the Jersey Devil. And I mean, all folklore for that matter just sort of changes and evolves. Things get added, things get lost.
right. Is there any in your research any folklore that dates back that is, I don't know, that Native Americans had folklore around the Jersey Devil in
Good
New
question.
Jersey?
That is a good question. And I'm not familiar with the Native American spin on the Jersey Devil. I mean, there's definitely Native American folklore that is out there, that could be comparable
Mhm.
to Mr. Devil, but I'm I'm honestly not familiar.
Oh, all right. Well,
I apologize.
I'll hold you to it, John. Yeah, there's something about the Pine Barrens that we would go camping every year in Batstow State Forest. Um,
Mhm.
you know, and we would go to mixed canoe rental and then you get on the school bus. It's super fun, and they take you down and you set up camp and you canoe down to the camp. And in the daytime, it's beautiful. It's the most beautiful trees, and then at nighttime, like it's the creepiest place. You feel like you're in a horror movie. Like
Yeah.
don't want to go to the bathroom. It's there's got to be something that lends itself to so many trees, and it's just still less peopled. And I think there's got to be a reason why he lives down there and not up here at Hartshorn Woods and Atlantic Highlands.
Where do you hide in the most densely populated state in the nation, right? I'm surprised there's no, I mean, maybe there is, and I'm just not aware, like a reality TV show where they've gone looking for this thing. Like, you know how like on the History Network, they'll have things like at night where they're like, we're gonna look for
Like
the Loch Ness
Sasquatch.
monster. Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if there are issues or episodes out there of those sorts of shows where they do go
Yeah.
looking for him. I really can't get into those shows just because it's a lot of just, out of focus camera work and people tripping around and, and
Makes you a little seasick. A lot of the
yeah,
yeah,
and then you never end up really seeing anything.
right.
Yeah, because they'll always be like on the next episode,
Mhm.
We think we have a big update in the Sasquatch search. And the big update is like there was a mark on the tree. And then
Yeah.
you're like, all right, I'm out.
Yeah.
What was the in one of the origin stories, and I forgive me, I can't remember the name. In Shrewsbury, up here, Monmouth County, there is a Daniel Leeds Road, and then the whatever the mother's name is. Do you know that origin story, John, of
Okay.
the supposed to have
The
birth?
the Daniel Leeds one is sort of like a separate one.
Oh,
But let's start with the one with the mother.
all right.
The classic telling, if you will. The mother's name was Deborah Smith, and she emigrated from England in the early 1700s. So she set out to the New World with stars in her eyes, a better life. And she found herself living in South Jersey. She married a man by the name of Yaphet Leeds. And by all accounts, Yaphet was never going to be father of the year. He was reported to be a drunk. He did very little in terms of the welfare and upkeep of his family. And they had 12 kids together, which even back then, in the 1700s, that was still considered a lot of children. So in 1735, Deborah, aka Mother Leeds, learns that she is pregnant with her 13th child.
Oh,
Oh, and upon learning this, she puts her hand over her heart, she raises her fist to the sky, and she proclaims, "Let this one be the devil."
oh, my goodness.
Right? Which is maybe something you don't want to say when you're, expecting a child. But that apparently is what she exclaimed upon learning of the 13th bundle of joy coming her way. In other accounts, she says, "May it be a devil." So you can take your pick as to which one you really like.
That's a dangerous, like, be careful what you wish for kind of thing to throw
Yeah.
out there. Like, even if
Right?
there's nothing supernatural involved, I mean, you can have like a devil of a kid that wakes you up like every 20 minutes, like
Yeah.
doesn't stop crying, that kind of thing.
Yeah. May my baby have colic. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So flash forward 9 months later, the big night happens and Mother Leeds goes into labor at the Leeds house. The Leeds house itself, it's reported to be like a small 2-room sort of farmhouse with a chimney. So in the front room, you've got Father of the Year, Mr. Leeds, with the 12 kids gathered around him. And then in the other room, you have Mrs. Leeds going into labor, and she is surrounded by some midwives from the area that sort of came to assist with the birthing process. And it was a stormy night. And because they're in the Pine Barrens,
Of
you sort
course
of
it
got
was.
lightning flashing, shadows coming into the room, and, tree branches scraping up against the window.
Paint the
So,
picture, John.
so
Yes.
So finally it happens. She gives birth, and out comes a baby boy. And by all accounts, the baby was born perfectly normal. It was a perfectly beautiful child. Everybody breathes a deep sigh of relief, but within minutes, that's when the baby starts to transform. Its fingers just start to sprout these large talons. The baby starts to grow at an astronomical rate where it's suddenly standing about 12 feet tall.
Even as a
These lo-
baby.
Even as a baby.
Wow.
So, like right away, it just sort of goes into demon mode. The big wings sort of unfurl and come out its back. Feathers start like forming all over its skin. Its head sort of extends forward. Horns come out of the head. It's got the big glowing demon eyes. So you have a woman who just gave birth to her 13th child, surrounded by two, midwives who were like, "What?" And that's when, in one version of the tale, the demon goes into attack mode. So he murders one of the midwives. He rips the mom from limbs to limb.
His
He,
mom? His
well,
mom?
this is just one version.
Look, she asked for it when she told, like, let this be a demon.
Yeah, but you still think there's the bond. I don't know.
So in the one version, or mom gets it. But one of the nursemaids like sort of survives because, when you're dealing with stuff like this, you always need to leave a survivor to tell the tale. So from that, he busts into the other room. He starts attacking Father Leeds and the brothers and siblings. He kills as many of them as he possibly can. And then just like that, he shoots up the chimney, just right up the chimney, causing the chimney to sort of cascade and break, and then all the stones sort of fall on the roof of the house. And from there, he just sort of flies out into the Pine Barrens, where he's been haunting it ever since.
Wow.
So that's version A. In version B, Mother Leeds gives birth. We go through the whole metamorphosis process, but she decides, you know what? I'm going to keep this demon. So she keeps him and she raises him as her 13th child. And then upon her death, many years later, that's when the demon's like, I'm out of here. I'm going off to the Pine Barrens to haunt people. So then he sort of runs away from there. So those are sort of like the two classic versions where she sort of brings it on to herself and she, says, let this one be a demon. And then she pays the ultimate price. He takes her life and then goes off haunting. And then the other version, she falls in love with her little demon baby and keeps him.
I like that.
I think I like story B more. And the reason is I don't love the idea that it like comes right out of the womb, kills a bunch of people, and then just hides for 300 years,
Like
although it could be character growth. Like the thing could have like learned from its mistakes, evolved as a human being, and just chose not to kill anymore.
And there is another version of the story where apparently Mrs. Leeds, a curse was put upon her by a Quaker clergyman who was desperately trying to convert her to Quakerism. And she said, no, thank you. So he said to her, may your next child be the son of Satan. So then that led into her giving birth to the Jersey Devil. So
very Quakery.
Yeah. So in other versions, you have the Quakers sort of bringing it on her. But that's sort of like the Leeds version of the story. But then there's other versions of the story which are semi-similar in the sense that you have a young Leeds Point girl who falls in love with a British soldier. Everybody's against it. This can never happen. She eventually is impregnated by him, and then the child that she gives birth to ends up becoming the Jersey Devil. So there are some tales where it's not within the Leeds family. There's another version where a young woman is out and about doing her shopping when she comes across this sort of wizened old crone of a woman, if you will, and the woman asks her for money and the woman politely refuses. So then the crone sort of puts a curse on her and says, your next child will be a demon. So then this woman then goes home 9 months later and then gives birth to the Jersey Devil.
So like an offshoot of Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah. So there's definitely like the theme of multiple children, pregnancy, and the consequences for it that it's sort of tied to his origin story. Now, there is the other story, which deals with Daniel Leeds, who was a prominent Quaker publisher. And he was in direct conflict with Benjamin Franklin. They both published almanacs during that time period. Those were those big books that all farmers loved to use to sort of refer to, weather patterns and that sort of stuff. And Daniel Leeds ended up having a falling out with his local Quaker, clergy, if you will. The insignia that he was using on his almanacs was deemed to be a little bit too devilish for their tastes. So he sort of became an outcast within, the community, but he continued to publish his almanac. And then Ben Franklin, of course, being, a big mouth, sort of got in on it and sort of drummed up, the reputation that Leeds was associated with the devil. He sort of like fed into this. And then Daniel Leeds passed away, and then his son took over the publishing business. And from there, the rumor was put out that it was the ghost of Daniel Leeds that was acting as the Jersey Devil. And that's who's been causing all of these problems within the Pine Barrens. So
I'd love to know like what this logo looked like, that it was so satanic. Like I'm sure it was like the Nike swoosh or something. At the time they were just like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, based on the time period and like printing technology back then, I can't see it being over elaborate. But I mean, people read into things, and apparently it was a little too demonic for their taste.
Yeah, that is definitely a little like a little political propaganda on their part, Daniel Leeds. But
Yeah.
I would
These
like
are the
to
same
think,
people that were burning women at the stake for being witches because they could read.
I do like to think of the so the poor Jersey Devil, really, it's not his fault, right? So everybody's cursing these poor women that their crime is getting pregnant and they have these demon babies. And he kind of seems like a bit of a victim. It's not really his fault. Just boring.
I'm with you. I'm total Team Jersey Devil.
Excellent. Poor. I mean, at least I like the one story we had his siblings. Like, did he grow up? Did they play kick the can? Like, was he part of the family community? Did they get together? It's a little more family oriented.
At
In that
12 feet
version,
tall, he's got a bit of an advantage in athletic games.
I'm definitely assuming he had a much better life than that version. Yeah.
In case there is some connection between like some of the indigenous tribes or the Lenape tribe back in the Pine Barrens, like for the Jersey Devil history too. So, and that's just kind of briefly playing around while we're kind of talking. So,
The Lene
yeah,
Lenape.
yeah, Lenape, I'm probably mispronouncing it, but there's definitely some history there too, which is connected to the Jersey Devil. I think
Yeah, it'd
it's
be interesting how far back this family
yeah,
collection
yeah.
goes. I mean, do you think is there a growing fan base for the Jersey Devil? Did he have his moment in the sun where there was a lot of like Krampus? It seems like Krampus is having his day in the sun right now. There's a lot of around where I am anyway. There's a lot of buzz around Krampus as folklore. Does Jersey Devil ever have like parade
He
or?
well, I don't know if a parade so much, but he definitely had a moment in, I believe it was the 70s. A group was formed. It was the Concerned Citizens for the Jersey Devil. And they were working under the assumption that the Jersey Devil had been kidnapped and taken to Texas.
Oh wow.
And this story was in the Philadelphia Inquirer, and they were fighting to get their Jersey Devil back. But I don't think anything ever became of that.
I
But
have so many questions. I want to know where they got this intel. I want to know who they were demanding their Jersey Devil back from.
I would like to know who was lobbying on behalf of the
Yeah.
church.
I want to know how drunk they were when they got this group together and everyone was like, I know, right? We got to get it back.
Concerned Citizens
Yeah.
Group, the 501 through C3.
And if they truly believed he was real, I want to know why they wanted him back in the first place.
Were they
Yeah.
members of NJBIA? That's the real question.
Little before, or maybe not before its time. What year was that?
He said 70s.
that was in the
Yeah,
70s.
absolutely then. Okay,
If
sure.
you remember
Right.
NJBIA, we got to look that up. See if
Yeah.
they were members. Nonprofit.
John, you had mentioned before we started recording some appearances by the Jersey Devil in popular culture. Is there anything you think is you particularly enjoyed or was maybe like faithful to the folklore?
Well, I don't know so much faithful to the folklore. There have been like a spate of movies that sort of, focus on him, and it just breaks my heart to say that none of them are really that good. My
Aw.
apologies to the filmmakers if you're listening to the podcast, but I really think he could stand his own franchise. I think he's ripe for a big screen comeback, perhaps a trilogy. If anybody out there is listening, I have some ideas. Call me. I think it'd be a great action adventure, and a love story as well. But places where he has shown up, where they've been pretty good episodes. There was an episode of the X-Files that was dedicated solely to the Jersey Devil. That one was really good. And then there's that comedy, What We Do in the Shadows, about
That's a
the
fantastic
vampires.
show.
I love that. I love the movie. I love the show.
So there's an episode, I think in season 4, it's called The Pine Barrens, and the Jersey Devil plays a big part in that episode. So I recommend going back and checking that out.
Nice.
I'm surprised that the X-Files didn't do something more faithful. They were always really I guess respectful of the various folklores, or at least that was my perception as a 7-year-old who didn't know anything about, the actual folklore.
I'm just happy he got an episode, and just, bring more attention to our Jersey Devil.
I forgot about that. I wish I still have I have a Mulder action figure upstairs that I keep him like by like, where all my plates are and everything. I've had him like right here. I don't have a lot of opportunity to show off my Mulder action figure.
Take a picture of it. We'll put it on the screen as you're talking about it now.
Excellent. Yeah, he's right upstairs. I forgot about that. And I watched X-Files religiously. So when X-Files came out, I was in college, and me and my girlfriends would get together. We would watch the X-Files every week, and then generally probably Point Break after. But that's another story. So I must have just forgotten about it. 'Cause I saw every single one. I think I gotta go back.
It's season 1, episode 5.
Oh,
It's
really?
It's very early. It's called The Jersey Devil.
Right, excellent. I can put that in my homework, my Jersey Devil homework. And for your listeners, if you want to learn more, especially for before we get to the end, but just to check out X-Files because they're on Comet. I don't know if anybody has that station.
And What We Do in the Shadows. Check that out
And
too.
What We Do in the Shadows.
I'm really
Absolutely.
curious as to like when the latest or I'm sorry, the most recent,
Sighting.
yeah, like occurred. Because I was just playing around continuously still, and there was like the folks down in the Pine Barrens, they were like sending reports of sightings to the New York Times. Like that's how, real this thing is to them.
When?
So,
When was that? Right.
of course I clicked away from it, Chase. Like,
Well, I mean,
Recent,
I don't
like
think.
during COVID, were there people with like flashlights? Is that or are we talking like the 90s, the 80s, the 70s?
Yeah, I think it goes back a little time since you guys want to put me on the spot.
John, you ever go hunting for the Jersey Devil? You ever go out looking or go on it?
Oh, no, no, no.
Yeah, that's asking for trouble.
No, you will not catch me in the Pine Barrens after dark. I think it was like a year ago. I had to drive through there with a friend. We were going somewhere in South Jersey, and before we knew, we were in the Pine Barrens because on either side of the road, the trees were up and around us, and I was sort of white knuckling the passenger side door, like, get us out of here before the sun goes down, please. No, no, you're not going to catch me hunting him.
You know too much. You know too much about the Jersey Devil.
I will
I mean,
appreciate
even
him
if
from afar.
not, I mean, there's got to be like bears or something, right?
Oh yeah, no, there's bear. I mean, there's plenty of other things going on. I mean,
Yeah.
Bigfoot has been sighted in the Pine Barrens. There's a couple other supernatural figures that are alleged to haunt the Pine Barrens with him. There's Captain Kidd, who's a pirate, who I think he's got treasure allegedly buried off of Seacon Bay. So
Mhm.
people have reported seeing the Jersey Devil and Captain Kidd strolling down the beach together at night on certain full moon evenings. There's
Everybody's
also
entitled to a friend.
Yeah, it's
yeah,
always a full moon evening.
there's also the ghost of a black dog, which apparently is a very friendly spirit, they say. It is believed that he was on a ship that was attacked by pirates, and then him and the cabin boy, their ghosts can be sometimes seen together. There's the ghost of Dr. Still. He was an African American doctor who wasn't allowed to practice, and he went into seclusion in the Pine Barrens. And people have claimed to have seen his spirit out there as well. And I think there's like two other people that are out there working in tandem, perhaps with the Jersey Devil, to
Wow.
sort of. So that's why you're not going to catch me in there at night, or
I
even
wonder
if
if some of the Sasquatch sightings and some of the Jersey Devil sightings were the same thing. Like who's like, no, 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 it wasn't Sasquatch. It was a little different.
Well, totally different. He's got a
Yeah.
different
It's a
swagger.
different 12-foot monster that I saw out there.
I mean, if it doesn't have wings, then clearly it's a
That's true.
Bigfoot.
That's true. But sometimes at
Clearly.
night you might think something's a wing and it's really like some shrubbery.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I saw a coyote at the golf course. I don't care what the heck's going on.
Could have been the Jersey Devil. Disguised as
Wow.
changeling as a house cat. Well, I have heard to divert too much from the Jersey Devil, but they're all in the same family of friends, I guess. Captain Kidd and the pirate stories in
Mhm.
Monmouth County. I've been hearing more and more about Captain Kidd. I didn't realize had such a strong presence in New Jersey. I don't know, Vinny Randy, if you've heard about the piracy that was happening in New Jersey.
This is the first I'm ever hearing of Captain
It could be
Kidd.
a whole
Right.
other episode because it's pretty exciting. It by me in Monmouth County, Freehold. There was this case of Captain Kidd's first mate, I think, was named Moses Butterworth, and Moses Butterworth was arrested for piracy, and he was in the Freehold County Courthouse. And on the day of his trial, Captain Kidd had paid a drummer boy to go and disrupt the trial. So the trial would have to keep stopping. So this drummer boy goes up to the courthouse. I don't know the exact year, but it's when Captain Kidd was around and would start drumming, and the lawyer had to keep going outside and be like, "Stop drumming! You're disrupting the proceedings." And the drummer boy would go in and he's drumming, and be like, "You have to stop drumming." He did it so much that they had to pause the proceedings. And when they did, Captain Kidd and his like army of pirates came in. They rescued Moses Butterworth and then captured the judge and the lawyers and tied them
Mhm.
up. And they were so embarrassed that they never brought any charges, and Moses Butterworth took off scot-free.
John, at this point, I think Casey needs to come down to the library for one of the nights we're telling spooky stories, and
Uh-huh.
she needs to have a showcase for sure.
Right, that's definitely, I'm sorry, a little tangent. It's just I was so excited about the piracy. I just learned that not long ago.
Casey, anytime next Halloween season, if you want to collaborate, we can do it
Hey,
over
you
Zoom.
got a gig, Casey. You got a gig.
You're booked, kid.
Oh, excellent. Well, John, is there anything that we didn't ask about the Jersey Devil or any other bit of folklore information you want us to know?
I just want to, I think we sort of touched on it a little bit. There was that crazy week in 1909, the first week in it was late January, I apologize, where the Jersey Devil was spotted everywhere. And, he was spotted in Camden. He was spotted in South Philly. He was spotted in Reading. And he was attacking trolley cars in Haddonfield. He was running through New Brunswick. And for that whole entire week, schools were closing early because parents were afraid to send their kids in. A lot of the mills and factories located in and around the Pine Barrens had to shut down for the whole week because people were just terrified to come to work. And then as soon as it started, it all just stopped. And then there was no other sightings or mentions of the Jersey Devil. So it sort of has like a Mothman sort of feeling to it. I don't know if you're familiar with that story, where, yeah, so it's just like suddenly it was just mass hysteria almost, where everybody was seeing him. And the major newspapers at the time were reporting on it as actual news. So I think he's due for one of those weekly comebacks. And
And that's 1909.
that was 1909.
So you
Yeah.
can go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Got
It's
people
probably
out of
near-
school and work. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's bananas. You wonder if you want to get up like I thought I saw the Jersey Devil. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to lose any vacation time. It's coming around.
I'm not using
Wow.
PTO for this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the Jersey Devil, I don't say Krampus because Krampus is big around here, but Krampus has his own parade, his own fan base. I feel like the Jersey Devil needs his due, you know.
I mean, I think he definitely has his celebrations. There is, of course, the name of it is slipping me. There is a Pine Barren Museum, Historical Society that has a large statue of him. And I'm pretty sure they do programming around the Jersey Devil and celebrating him.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Well, then I don't know if you'd agree here, but I'd first and second President John and Vice President Casey to head up some sort of return of the Jersey Devil for sure. We've got two program leads right here.
There you go.
Concerned citizens. Yes.
They could
that's
start
right.
like the second chapter of that association from the 70s or whatever it was that was trying to get him back from Texas.
Yeah.
Nice.
76. Yeah.
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 Yeah, I agree with you, Vinny. I would like to know who they were brokering with, who they were talking with. Was this person resistant? Did they think they also had a Jersey? What did they have? Why did they think they had it?
I have so many questions. I want to know who was on the other side of the phone that put their hand over the receiver and was like, you're not going to believe what these people are asking for.
I'll go through my files and see if I can find it looking at full on that news story, and I will email it to you. And
It's
then
amazing.
Oh, that would be fabulous. That would be fabulous.
Yep.
Well, thank you guys. Do you guys have any more questions, Vinny, Randy? I mean, there's so.
No, I'm good for some trivia.
Are
Let's
you
do
ready?
it.
Are you ready for the
Yeah.
trivia portion?
Let's do it.
Yes.
All right, banana. So everybody have a piece of paper. There'll be 3 questions and a Sharpie, or a pen, and then I'll ask the question. When you have your answer, hold it up to the screen so I can see it. And the winner will eventually receive a Wawa gift card for $5. Eventually, it takes its time getting there, but you get it. That's my fault because I'm the one who sends them out. Oh. Okie dokie artichokes. Everybody have their stuff? We ready for the
Yes.
first question?
Ready
Yes.
to go.
Okay. It is the largest gathering of zombies in the country. Where does that zombie gathering take place every year? It's in New Jersey. Give you a hint. What town in New Jersey? These are New Jersey-based trivia questions.
Oh,
The largest gathering of zombies once a year. All right, is everybody ready?
yes.
All right, let's see.
Can you see
I
it?
put Parsippany just because that's where Monster
What do you got,
Mania
Randy?
is.
Pine Barrens.
Ding,
That
ding,
would have been a
ding,
good
that's right.
guess. That would've been a
Asbury
good guess.
Park, right on the
Yep.
boardwalk, the largest
Wow.
annual gathering.
I was right.
Yes, you are. Absolutely.
I wrote down Pittsburgh first.
What do they do when they get there?
They eat some brains first to get some
Of course.
energy.
Of course, but
What else were
after
you thinking, man?
that,
Wait a minute. I'm gonna show you. I went. So the zombies, the way it starts out in Asbury is at the end of the boardwalk, they teach you the Thriller dance, and then everybody does the Thriller
I
dance.
love it.
Oh,
Participate, and then people just walk down the boardwalk in a big zombie parade.
Listen,
I went, of course, this year. I made a. Let's see if I have a picture of my brain. Here it is. I made a Jello brain. You can see that.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a Jello. It's peach Jello with jam to make it extra scary.
Same
brains in
thing
the
with the
thriller.
Mulder picture. Take the picture of that, send it to us. We'll put it on the screen for the people watching the YouTube version.
Here's like a zombie that I brought some Jello to. That's kind of what you'll see.
aw.
Brains in
love
the
it.
Thriller dance. I mean, I guess who wants to miss that?
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to miss that. I mean, come on. But yeah, if you want to come next year, every year in October, the largest gathering of
John, I
zombies.
think you need to be there, sir. Bring.
Concerned citizens were coming.
All right, so John's up one. So here we go. Already got one. All right, wait a minute. I need my cheat sheet for this one. Okay, what product in New Jersey was accused of witchcraft and was on trial for witchcraftery? It's a product from New Jersey that was told if you eat it, it will turn you into a witch.
Wow. I'm just gonna put the cap on my Sharpie because I need to write
It's
down.
a product from New Jersey. And it was put on trial because if you ate it, it could lead to witch-like behavior.
Not Jersey.
Oh, Jersey's got, it's got a reputation. All right, let's see.
So I wrote cheesesteak just because I couldn't think
Cold
of
or
like.
taffy?
So Randy did pork roll. That sounds like a better idea. Like I couldn't think of a New Jersey specific food.
All right, so they're all good. You're all wrong, though. It is the tomato.
Oh wow.
That's right. Our most popular product, the tomato, was put on trial September 25th, 1820 in Salem. And New
Wow.
Jersey farmer Robert Johnson ate a basket of tomatoes to prove that they were not poisonous and he did not lead to witchcraft.
Wow.
It's always something else with these Salem guys.
The crowd did wait for many hours to see who was going to keel over and die, and he did not. Okay. So now we have so nobody had, so we still have John in the lead.
Of course.
So where's the okay.
All right, I got one more.
Wait, you got one more what?
I got
you
one
got
more to
one
catch up.
question. That's right. All right. What this one's an easier one. Well, I don't know if it's easy for one. It's but the SS Morro Castle was a cruise ship that that um that got stuck on a sandbank off the Jersey Shore, and we just had its 100th year anniversary. And it is told that there are ghostly watery grave hauntings in this beachside town. The SS Morro Castle was a huge luxury cruise liner that would go from New York to Cuba, back and forth, and on its way, to or from, it got like up on a sandbank, caught fire, many people died, it was terrible, and it was right off the shore of this Jersey Shore town. What town is it? All right. Wildwood.
I'm changing my answer. I
This
apologize.
is a pure guess. I just pulled the Jersey Shore town.
1934. This is in 1934. Killed 137 passengers.
Stone Harbor?
Wow.
September 8th. Oh, wait, John, I can't see it. Was it? Hold your paper back.
This is the problem with these virtual backgrounds.
Virtual background. I can't see it.
Maybe pull it back closer to you so that it thinks you're all one big thing. Okay, Stone Harbor.
Okay, what do you have, Randy?
Nothing.
No,
Okay,
you're not gonna pull out
now.
any Jersey Shore town. Go ahead. What is it?
Asbury Park.
Oh,
Correct question.
I know, that's right. SS Morro Castle, the ocean liner, caught fire September 8th, 1934, from Havana to Cuba, killing 137 passengers and crew members. And there are ghostly sightings
Wow.
September 8th along the shore.
Wow.
All right,
Oh.
so I have another question. This is not New Jersey based, but I run the movie club in town, and we just had Hitchtober, so it was all Alfred Hitchcock movies, and we do trivia every night. So this is a trivia question. See any cinephiles out there, and I'll give you a hint to Alfred Hitchcock movies.
Hmm.
It was the very first movie to have a toilet flush in the film ever. And it was a Hitchcock movie. What Hitchcock movie was it?
I have an idea just because I know specifically of a toilet flush in a Hitchcock movie. I don't know if it was the first.
All right, I'm gonna be out of this. So
Randy's tapping out.
nice. We got a
Psycho.
tie.
Oh,
Well, that's if we
and
got
John
it right.
wins. Ding, ding, ding. It was Psycho. Absolutely.
Yeah, because there is the point where she writes down the amount of the money that she stole minus the amount that the car cost.
That's
She rips
right.
it up. She flushes it. She doesn't necessarily flush it down the toilet, right? Because don't they find it later?
She
But-
doesn't flush all of it down. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
a piece of it that makes it back.
But I do definitely remember that scene.
So does Vin win or does John win?
No, John wins.
Because
John got
I
two.
didn't get the other one right, so he's got two. I got one.
I got Asbury Park. Yeah.
We
Yeah.
got Asbury
Nice.
Park. That's it. And now, yeah. So of course I cheat. I'm from Asbury
Because
Park.
they beat me every week, John, I vote for the guests. So congratulations. sir.
There's no
You
need to
get to
vote.
roll
He
like a
won.
party
Clear
eventually.
it up. Fair and square.
Well, I support the guests. I'm sorry. Let's save the
Fair
voting
enough.
for a couple more days.
Much appreciated.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you, John. Thank you so much for lending your expertise and your passion for the
Really
Jersey
cool.
Devil to our podcast.
Really cool.
Thank you for
Absolutely.
having me. Thank you
Yeah,
so
it was
much.
great.
Hey, John, if somebody heard you today and just had some questions or, hey, I know something or I've seen something, how would they reach you? Where would they? I know you're at the library. If you want to drop an email address or something for them to be able to reach out to you, how would they find you?
They can email me at john.powell@rutgers.edu.
Nice.
So Powell.
Correct.
Nice.
That is
Nice.
excellent. Well, thank you so much, John, our Jersey Devil extraordinaire,
Hey,
and
concerned citizens.
and concerned
And
citizen.
concerned citizen.
As I am now. I want to get buttons. I want to have like a button. Concerned citizen Jersey
We'll work
Devil.
on it at our first meeting. We'll talk about this.
I'll
All right.
join.
Our planning meeting. Yes.
I think that, well, of course, I want to thank everybody, Vinny, Randy, our listeners, John, and we'll sign off with our big dating game, Kiss. And thank you all so much. And thanks to NJBIA and NJM. All right. Thank you, Jersey Devil.
Nice. Thank you, John.
Bye.